We cannot talk about marketing without talking about the base of that word, which is market. Okay, so what is a market? It is a specific segment of people. That is the general definition of a market. When we talk about determining who our market is, because you do have to define your target market. And what is target market? Your niche is the defined group of people that you specifically want to market to. It is not the total market, because the total market is just a general group of people, but your target market is a very specific group of people. And we can define our target market by 4 segments. I kind of like to use high school to help bring in the definition of a market. 13 to 19 years old. When you look at a high school, you can break the teenage market down into even more finite groups of people, and they become target markets, because you can, number one, separate the teenagers out by gender. So you have your boys and you have your girls. And then you can even get more granular by grade levels. 9, 10, 11, 12. And you can even get more granular by ethnicity, get more specific by athletic, band, what organizations they participate in. When you're looking at a market of teenagers, they can be broken down into some very specific target markets. Let's talk about target market segmentation. So what are those 4 different segmentations? 1 is demographics, 2 is geographics, 3 is psychographics, and 4 is behavioral. So let's talk about that demographic segmentation. When we're looking at demographics, we're looking at several components. They consist of your age, your gender, your ethnicity, your education, your occupation level, your income, your family size. And those are the general things that we look at when we talk about demographics. When we look at psychographic segmentation, we're looking at your lifestyle, your attitude, those things that make you who you are. I like to say, look at your hobbies. What do you like to listen to as far as music is concerned? Do you like to vacation? What are the things that are those extracurricular things that really define your personality and who you are? Who do you like to hang around? What do you like to do? Do you like to skate? Do you like to swim? All of those things are part of the lifestyle of a person. When companies are looking at their target market, they want to know, especially like if you look at a company like Nike. Okay, Nike is my main one that I use because it's very easy to talk about. But they are looking at, they've moved into leisure somewhat, but they're looking at performance. They're looking at athletic. They're looking at movement. They're looking at people who want to have things that function well, to help them be faster, to help them perform better in whatever sport that they're doing. They're looking at, a person who has an active lifestyle. Companies look at very specific things on how their customer, their target market, lives their life, how they function, what are they doing. So those are the things that you're gonna look at as psychographic, because I always say psych is mind. So think about lifestyle, how a person thinks, how they behave, their attitudes, all of that plays into the psychology of a person. So that's psychographics segmentation. So geographic segmentation is very simply looking at a market based on where they live. So if you're talking about a swimsuit company, they're not going to be looking at the North Pole to market their swimsuits, right? So you're gonna find a swimsuit company looking at people who live in a warm weather area, or people who are looking to go to warm weather. Geographic segmentation is really breaking down your market based on where they live or where they may travel. Behavioral segmentation comes into play when companies are looking at their market based on how their consumer or their target market generally behaves. Are they brand loyal? Like the frequency of how frequent they shop? If they are credit card users, if they have certain religious beliefs that dictate how they shop. So you're looking at all of these things that are going to drive a consumer's behavior when you're looking at behavioral segmentation. Most companies are probably looking at the behavioral aspect of their consumer because they got to understand how their consumer thinks and what's going to drive them to make purchases. So to summarize it all, target market is a specific group of potential customers that a business is attempting to turn into regular customers. And there are 4 identifying segments. First, there's demographics that divides markets into segments by age, gender, family size, occupation, education, and ethnicity are the main characteristics and traits that we look for in demographics. Second is geographic, and that's breaking a market into segments based on where they live or where they may travel. Third, there's psychographics that breaks markets into smaller segments based on their lifestyles, their personality, the things that they value. And then finally, we have behavioral, and that breaks a market into segments based on their culture, religion, buying habits, whether they are brand conscious, and other characteristics of that nature. So as you can see, there are so many characteristics and segments that a company could look at when they determine who their target market is and the niche that they want to focus on.